Good afternoon. The Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 2:10. The date is April the 13th of 2023. Our remote location is West Feliciana Parish Work Police Program. Is staff there? I see some staff members there. Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Captain Ben Smiley with the West Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office Transitional Work Program.
Thank you very much. Our next case is Mr. Joshua Cavanaugh. Mr. Cavanaugh, if you would please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number.
My name is Joshua Cavanaugh. My DOC is number 493858.
Mr. Cavanaugh, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record. Then the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated they wish to speak to have their input. Here today for you in support is your father, Mr. Jack Cavanaugh, your sister, Ms. Denise Cavanaugh, and your attorney, Mr. Alex Hertenstein. Mr. Hertenstein, if you make a appearance for the record, please.
Alex Hertenstein on behalf of Mr. Cavanaugh.
And I assume you want to speak after Mr. Cavanaugh finishes his address to the board? You're on mute.
My apologies. Yes, briefly.
Okay. Mr. Cavanaugh, this is the matter of Joshua C. Cavanaugh, DOC number 493858. Mr. Cavanaugh's date of birth is June the 12th of 1976. He's a fourth-class felony offender. He has an adjusted good time date of July 23rd, 2024, full-term date of September the 12th of 2035. He is serving a 17-year sentence on charges of simple burglary, possession of methamphetamine, and 2 counts of fourth offense DWI. Is that accurate, Mr. Cavanaugh?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cavanaugh, your case has been assigned to me, so I'll begin the interview process. How old are you, Mr. Cavanaugh?
46.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
Did I know of the ones I'm in on now? Since
Yeah, right now.
3.5 years. Going on 3.5.
Mr. Cavanaugh, tell me a little bit about your educational background. How far did you go in school?
I quit in 11th grade and got my GED.
When did you get your GED?
Like 2 months after I quit.
Okay. And tell me about your work history. I know you're working right now offshore, but tell me after you got your GED, tell me about your work history. How have you?
I pretty much worked with my dad's, he had a framing company, or not a big company, just like a family-owned company, the Cavanaugh Builders. Pretty much worked with them on and off throughout my 28 maybe. I mean, worked numerous little jobs like Winn-Dixie, little restaurants. I pretty much had 2 jobs most of the time, like night stop.
How much time have you served in prison altogether, roughly?
15 maybe years.
Years?
Yes, sir.
What do you think the problem is?
Well, I found what my problem is lately. Like, I used to blame people and hold it against them. Like my dad, I blamed him for the longest why I quit playing baseball. That was my dream. That was it. He had a drug problem back in the day and kind of messed up my going to school. And he taught me how to play baseball. But then when he started doing the drugs, he fell off. He didn't go to my games. So my motivation just fell off. I just started messing up.
So your dad had a drug problem at one point.
Yes, he's been clean for 13 years now, though.
How about you?
I've been clean since I got arrested.
Okay, well, let's talk about you your whole life. How about drug use?
Well, I just started messing with drugs. Like, I was an alcoholic my whole life.
Okay, now what is just started? What does that mean?
Like, when I got out of jail last time in 2018, I started messing with methamphetamine, and it kind of like grabbed me and held on to me and kind of got me hooked on it for So
Let's back up. Let's talk about your alcoholism for a minute. When did you start drinking?
by 16,
And when did you start drinking?
beer.
And did you progress to more hard liquor?
Well, when I was 18, I drank wild turkey just for a little while. I don't like liquor. I just drink beer mostly. Well, I did drink beer. I don't drink. I ain't drank since 2013.
Mr. Cavanaugh, I've looked at your record.
Yes, sir.
You're a serious alcoholic.
Yes, sir.
You've been arrested over 7 times for DWI.
Yes, sir.
You got 2 fourth offense DWIs. Last time you got a DWI, you ran at 0.25.
Yes, sir.
That's a serious alcoholic.
Yes, sir.
So I want you to talk to me about your alcohol use. How often will you use an alcohol? I mean, now you tell me quit when you were 13 years ago, but tell me about your alcohol. How often were you drinking alcohol?
Well, from 17 to 21, I was just drinking every once in a while on the weekends.
All right. And at some point you became a blown up alcoholic. How did that happen and when did it happen?
21, I kind of got in a bad situation. I was staying with my uncle and them, and they kicked me out because I kept coming back late because my girlfriend, I spent time with her. He didn't like that, so he kicked me out. Because my dad was out doing what he was doing. And I felt alone, like felt like nobody loved me, you know what I'm saying? So I was just drinking and drinking. I mean, I had my girlfriend, but seeing her with her parents kind of messed me up. Because my mom was in Texas, my dad's doing what he's doing. I'm like, what am I even here for? You know what I'm saying? I was going through depression pretty much. So I chose every day, as much as I could drink.
Now, you've had 7, at least we know 7 DWIs.
Yes, sir.
You have 2 fourth offense DWIs. Somewhere along the line, some judge made you go to substance abuse treatment. How many times have you been to substance abuse treatment? Getting evaluated, going to treatment?
Twice.
Only twice in all of those?
I've been to a 28-day program twice, but I've been to outpatient programs like twice or 3 times.
When did you do those programs?
The last one was like 2014, 15, maybe. 14, 15, something like that.
And when did you say you haven't had a drink in a while? When did you last have something to drink?
2013. 2013.
I'm sorry?
2013. March
How did
10th,
you stop and why did you stop?
because my mom died while I was in prison. And I wasn't there. That just killed me right there.
So what made you start up with drugs?
I don't know. I don't know. I just got married. I don't know why. My wife was not the problem. I love my wife. She didn't cause no issues like that. I was just the wrong person was with me at the wrong time, and I don't know why.
I guess the problem I'm having, Mr. Cavanaugh, is that you've got this history of alcohol use. So many times arrested, going to prison twice for fourth offense DWI, ran a 0.25. You tell me you quit drinking as a full-blown alcoholic, which
Yes,
I
sir.
think is wonderful, which means you learn something. Then all of a sudden, you pop over to drugs. How does that happen?
I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. I've heard about it, how it is, and I tried it, and it grabbed me, and it wouldn't.
Let me ask you, why would you try that if you knew you had so much trouble with alcohol, and you finally kind of stopped?
I guess I was trying to find an escape from something I don't even know what I was trying to escape from. I didn't really have no issues going on at the time.
Why are you in prison now?
for simple burglary and possession
And why did that happen? Tell me about that.
because of the methamphetamine. I wasn't in the right state of mind. I've been up for like a week. And I was stealing things and I'd give them away. I don't know why I was stealing them for no reason.
While you were on meth, did you go back to drinking?
No, sir.
So you prefer meth was something that you got hooked on. Are you an alcoholic as well as a drug addict?
Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic and a recovering drug addict. I mean, when I took the Stephen Hall program, I wasn't sentenced to it. I told my lawyer to recommend me to go there. Because 2 months before I got arrested, me and my wife was talking about it. I said, baby, I'm getting out of hand with this. I said, I gotta go do something about this. And it never happened though. 2 months later, I get arrested and locked up. So I told my lawyer, I was ready to go to rehab. So I told my lawyer to get me into the Stephen Hall program because I heard it was a good program.
Okay, well, tell me about the Steve Hall program. What did you get out of that program?
Well, I learned I learned not to judge people. Because I got issues with looking at people, how they telling something. You gotta listen to everybody. Everybody got your own problems, their own addictions or whatever it is. You're no better than nobody else. I learned to open up, like express my feelings, like talk to somebody, I learned to get closer with my dad, my sister. Like we made a whole new relationship now, me and my dad. We're like,
Did you learn or did you come to grips of what it was or what the reason was or what inside you pushed you towards drugs?
Not the drugs, the alcohol, I know.
Well, what about the drug? I mean, you told me you kicked the alcohol problem, now you got a drug problem. What did you learn through Steve Hoyle as to why you went to meth? Why you continue to use drugs while you were out?
See, the way the timeline is on this, I got out of jail in August of 18. I didn't start messing with the meth until like the end of 19 or the middle of 19. And I got arrested in January 20. So me and my wife
We both agree that you're in prison because you started using methamphetamines and you were high as a kite and you were a drug addict. My question to you is, you wanted to get into Steve Hall program. You got into the Steve Hall program. What did you learn about yourself in the Steve Hall program that got you hooked on the drugs? You say, oh, I understood about alcohol, but it doesn't sound like you understand about the drug addict that you are.
yes. Well, I got so when I was young, I was motivated, determined. Like if I wanted to do something, I was a baseball player.
When you were young, you were an alcoholic. Now you're a drug addict and an alcoholic. I'm trying to figure out how you're going to stay clean. You went from alcohol, you stopped, then you did methamphetamines, okay? I'm trying to find out what you understand why you went to methamphetamines. Because if we let you out, if I vote to let you out, who's to say you're not going to go back or you're not going to go find some other addiction? So tell me what you learned about why you went to methamphetamines.
Well, escape, baby. Me and my wife we had a house and the landlord made us move out because they had to do some termite damage. So me and my wife had to go stay with my dad, and that wasn't a good.
Okay, well, let me ask a few more pointed questions. What are your triggers?
Trades?
Triggers. Did you learn triggers at Steve Hoyle?
Triggers was alcohol. That was my.
Oh, you quit drinking alcohol
in
in 2013, then you went to methamphetamines. What are your triggers to use drugs?
Confidence, my self-esteem, like when I'm doing, when I mess with the methamphetamines, I kind of got into a whole nother shelf. Like, I can just walk in anywhere or whatever. Oh, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain.
I hear you. Now, what did you get out of Steve Hoyle? How are you going to stay sober? How are you going to stay away from all substances if you are released? What is your plan?
I'm gonna be, let me explain this quick. I'm working out here and I send money home to my dad, my sister.
That's all wonderful. I want to know how you're going to stay sober. Because I can keep you where you are and you can keep that job and you can send money home to your parents. If I let you out on the street, how am I going to be convinced you're going to stay sober?
Oh, I'm already accepted into a sober living house right now. I got a bed available right now in Covington. And I'm going to be going to like 4 meetings a week. I'll be working on a boat 28 days, off 14. So on my 14 days off, I'll be going to meetings. They got urine tests they'll be doing on me. I gotta get a sponsor to do the 12 steps. I'll be busy. I'll be a busy guy.
Well, I hear what you're saying. You're going to go outpatient. You're going to go work. You were working before.
But
You had all of those things before. Now you talk about AA meetings. How important are the meetings? What are the tools that you're going to utilize? It's good that you go to a program. That's great.
my thing is, I feel like I'm supposed to be like a chairman at the meeting. If some stories I tell, I know I'll reach out to some youngster coming in there for the first time, getting the DWI or whatever. I know some of my life.
Mr. Cavanaugh, let me say, I ran a drug court for 14 years.
Yes, sir.
One of the concerns that I've always had with people in drug court is that they go from one addiction to another.
Yes, sir.
And while it's true, the 12 steps suggest you have to give back to the community and you have to give back to other people who have similar issues as you do, you have to first work on yourself.
Yes, sir.
And I see too many people that they become addicted to wanting to help other people. It's just another addiction. I'm simply interested in knowing how you are going to stay sober, because I'm going to tell you my fear.
Mhm.
I'm on this board and I'm looking at you and I'm looking at your history.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to let a man out of prison that's going to go out there, get back on drugs, get in the car and kill somebody. That's my worry. So tell me why I shouldn't be worried about that.
Because I'm going to be an uncle to my nieces when I get out of here. I'm going to be a son to my
I'm
dad.
to your nieces now. I
Huh?
want to know how you're going to convince me you're not going to do drugs anymore or drink anymore.
Because I'm going to do whatever it takes to
Tell me what it's going to take.
go to many meetings.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to go to as many meetings as I possibly can. If I ever get the urge, I got people I can call that I know that they'll be there for me. I'm not going back there. I'm too old for this. I put that on everything.
Mr. Cavanaugh, I'm really disappointed in what I'm hearing, because I was really expecting to hear, I've really turned the corner. I've got this thing down. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And all I'm hearing is that, look, I'm not going back there anymore. I've got the family. I've got this. I've got that. I haven't heard that. Now, you talked about you're going to go to meetings. What are the meetings for?
I'm not a good speaker. I like to get tongue-tied. But what you just said, I got it wrote down right here that I was going to tell you.
Tell me whatever it is you want to tell me.
I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I had.
Okay.
But let me start off by saying thank you, panel and board, for granting me this hearing. Me and my wife had plans on me getting into a drug program about 2 months before me getting arrested. Because my drug problem was getting out of hand, and but I never went. I made excuses. I never,
I understand.
all right.
It's honest.
Now I got arrested before being sentenced by the judge. I got my lawyer, because I was ready to go to rehab. So being in a drug program, that's what I wanted. So I told my lawyer to get me in the program. He got me in the Stephen Hall program. So, like I said, I take full responsibility for my charges. Whatever parole board wants me to do, I'm gonna.
Kavanaugh, I hear all of those things. It's not what I want you to do. I want to know what you're going to do. I hear you say, you tell me what I'm supposed to do and I'll do it. I promise you. Well, I hear those promises all the time.
I'm gonna stay working. I'm moving up in the ladder on my job. That's one thing. I'm focused on that. A career doing what I'm doing. I have money. I have like 20,000 saved up in the bank now. I have never owned a new car, or I got plans on buying land.
Mr. Cavanaugh, I understand you're nervous. I am not interested in your finances. I'm interested in what you're going to do to stay sober. Now, you're going to go to meetings. That's a good thing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go to a program. And you went to the Steve Hoyle program. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about some of the tools that you learned. Meetings is a good thing. Okay? What else? What other ways what are you going to do to make sure that you stay sober?
I'm staying away from all the people I used to hang with. That's number one. I'm moving out of that place. I'm gonna try to stay away from places where alcohol's. I used to have a bad. Every time I walked into a store, I would go get a 6-pack, and I didn't even drink. Like I'd go get this when I quit at 13. I'd bring it to my neighbor because I wouldn't even drink it. It was a habit buying it. I was afraid. So I gotta just stay away. I get a hobby. I want to play baseball again. I coach baseball. That's my niece. She wants to play softball. So I'm hoping to be able to, if I'm not too busy with working on it, but stay active with.
Staying busy is a good thing. Okay, what other things are you going to do to make sure that you stay sober? What happens when you and your wife have problems? What happens when things go bad on your job? What happens when you get down and depressed again? What's going to keep you from going to meth or alcohol?
Well, I found a higher power, and I'm gonna have a sponsor to call. If I ever get, I'm gonna have somebody call to help me out. I'm not going back that way. I'm not doing it. I can't do it.
Tell me about True Freedom in Covington, outpatient program that you're going to. What do you know about that program?
Well, my dad's neighbor, he knows. He knows. He says it's a good program.
What do you know about the what do you know about the program you're getting ready to go into? What have you learned about the program that you're going to? Just tell me. You don't need to tell me.
I talked to the lady, and she says it's a program. You got to go to 4 meetings a week. You got chores to do. You got to pay $150 a week, or you got to get a sponsor.
And how often do you go there?
You stay there.
You're going to be living in the sober living facility there as well? And what about your job?
Well, I'm gonna be working 28 days on, 14 off. Most of the time, I might just stay on the boat. I can stay on over if I want, because they always want you to stay over. So.
Oh, you're going to be gone 28 days. You're not going to be in that program for at least 28 days at a time.
I got to pay for the bed, though.
Well, I understand that.
I mean, that's going to be for a while until I get money up to get what I want to get, and know that I'm secure with what I'm getting out in there too.
How long do you intend on staying at True Freedom and the Freedom House Sober Living facility?
I was thinking at least 6 months, at least.
Now, you said you're married. Do you have children?
No, but I got 4 nieces. My sister, that's like my.
Now, how long have you been married?
2018 August.
Okay. Is your wife here today?
No, she's in the hospital. She has diabetes. And something with the coronavirus, she called, it messed her up. I don't know. I haven't seen her in 2 years, so she's like mentally messed up right now for some reason.
Are you gonna get back with her at
Oh,
some
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
intention? Where will she live while you're living in Freedom House?
She's staying with her sister right now. She has no problem with that.
Tell me about your disciplinary record while you've been in prison. You had any write-ups?
Not on this time here. I had one write-up on my first time in the prison for unauthorized area. And I had one write-up for I don't even know what the write-up was for. They never gave me a paper. I never even went to disciplinary court for it. Back in 2018. I don't know if you see anything on file for that. But pretty much only had one write-up that I know that I can remember.
So tell me about your job. What you do on your job?
I'm a deckhand. There's many tasks gonna be in a deckhand on the river, pushing 10 borders. So you start off at level 1. Then you got these 5 levels.
What are you doing now? Tell me your job and how long you can be out at a time. You said up to 28 days at a time?
Well, I've been out there 11 months. I ain't got off in 11 months. I just came back in for the hearing.
So you've been out offshore for 11 months?
Yes, sir.
Is there alcohol on those rigs?
Oh, no, sir. We don't even go by land. To the fuel dock to get fuel. Our crew change when they bring the groceries on and new cabin and new deckhand comes on. Well, that's the only time. Oh.
Now, when did you finish the Steve Hall program?
What was it?
2022.
We're in 22. It was like November.
Finished it right before your last hearing. You had a
Yeah,
hearing in March
yes, sir.
of 2022. You actually finished the Steve Hall program when you had your last hearing. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, since then, what have you done? Have you gone to AA meetings since you finished Steve Hall?
Well, a friend of mine lives in Montana. She's a parole officer. She got me on these online AA meetings. Because I'm on the boat, I really can't.
Do you do those?
I've done them. I mean, we stay busy out there. Like when you get up, we work 6 hours, get off 6 hours, work 6 hours. So when you get off there 6 hours, you want to take a shower and go to bed. So I know what you're going to say. What's more important? It's Friday. I know.
You're saying everything that I'm thinking.
I understand. I don't make no excuses.
Any AMA meetings while you're out there. And you're going to continue, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
I mean, isn't that important to keep your sobriety?
Oh, yes, sir. That's
what you're describing to me is being offshore is kind of like being in jail, very structured.
I got it right here.
Right? No drugs. Then when you get off, you got no foundation. That's a
right here.
concern.
I will give 100% to complete my parole obligations. I will put my sobriety first before everything, and we'll get off boat after 28-day hitch. We'll go meet my parole officer to pay my monthly fees and my parole statement. First thing I'm doing when I got off the boat. Because back in the past, I would never.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Who is there with you? Maybe we can get some insight. What can you tell us about Mr. Cavanaugh?
Justin come in here about a year ago. I got him a job offshore with the tugboats with it's actually called Intra Tug, and
It was the Loach.
It was the Loach Marines, and the name of it has changed. But he's been offshore on and off 11 months. He's not failed any drug screens. We do 90-day drug screens here. He's earned a good bit of money for himself, other than paying the sheriff for his part. He hasn't had any write-up since he's been here with us.
How often does he come back after he's been offshore? How long does he go out for?
He goes out, it's like 3 months, and we'll have to make a job check on him. We have to do job checks on him. We have to do a job check on him every month, but we have to do drug screens on him every 3 months. But so far he's done excellent. I mean, he's real nervous, I can tell, and I know you can tell.
Well, I'm sure he's nervous, and I understand that. I certainly don't know that against him. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Cavanaugh. Let's hear from your father.
Oh,
Hello, hello,
Yes, Mr. Jack Cavanaugh?
this is him.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're a little close to the camera. If you can put back a little bit.
Oh, I'm fine.
There you go. We can see it.
I'm
Okay.
ugly, man, but it's okay. But,
Tell us what you'd like us to hear.
well, what I'm saying is, this trip down, he seemed like he's been lacking responsibility a lot of his life, but now he's talking future plans. You know, he's thinking into the future a little bit. And, yeah, I think he's doing well on, but he, you know, and then some things. My church, I'm gonna get him involved in church with me, and we're gonna start going to that when he's available. And yeah, it just things we need to find things to do, like you said, coach a little baseball team or something. Because I mean, he loves baseball, and
Where do you
I like
live,
it.
Mr. Cavanaugh?
Yes,
Where
sir.
do you live, sir?
I live in Lacombe, Louisiana.
Okay.
And we're wanting to move. You know, when he gets out, he's trying to find a little piece of land and a trailer or something. And yeah, but my health is not so great, you know. And my daughter, she's trying to fill all the gaps in here with 4 kids and me. Yeah, but I mean, for any consideration y'all can give him, man, I know alcohol what messed his life up. He just couldn't kick the habit, you know. But and then this last time about the meth, you know, I really didn't even know that, and I sort of had blamed myself, like you know, he told you I had my little problem with drugs, but I've left them alone, you know, and there's no future in that. And you know, I've been trying to preach that to him, but he never even. I mean, y'all look at his record, and he never had no kind of drug charges on that other than alcohol. And I know alcohol is a drug also. Yeah, it might be the worst one because it's so readily available to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Cavanaugh. Now we hear from Ms. Denise Cavanaugh.
Yes, so thank you, man. Any consideration y'all can give me will be great.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Cavanaugh?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm trying to think of where to start. I think a lot of my brother starting his drug habit was when our mom died. She died on Christmas Day 2016. She killed herself. She committed suicide. And that's when I think my brother started going downhill with the methamphetamine around then or a little bit after he got out of jail. He's not a bad person at all. He just made stupid mistakes in his life. He's a very hardworking man, and I could really use his help if he could come home so his nieces can be around him, because he's been in and out of jail for like, what, 15, 20 years now? And it's just, I just want to see my brother come home. And
Thank you.
if y'all, I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't know what else to say. I just want my brother to come home. I need his help.
We understand your position, and we appreciate you talking to us. Thank you, sir. Mr. Cavanaugh, is there anything you'd like to say before we let Mr. Hertenstein close out?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Is there anything you'd like to say?
please, give me this chance that I know I'm not gonna, I ain't letting y'all down. If it be letting me down, I'm not letting myself down anymore. I'm not digging myself up anymore. I'm staying up. I'm gonna stay positive. I want people to look at me totally different than they did in the past. Like they starting to do now, it makes me feel good how people look at me now. Like I'm a working man, I have money, I can help people when they need it. I feel like a different person. I got my confidence back. It's uplifting. And I'm staying like this. And I
Thank-
hope I have mercy on me and
Thank you, sir. Now we'll hear from your lawyer, Mr. Huttenstein.
Yes, so Mr. Cavanaugh and I have been speaking frequently about this issue and his sobriety issue, and what he now understands is that sobriety requires active participation in the programs you're going to. You can't sit back, be passive, and simply recite what the instructors tell you to do. He understands that driving while intoxicated, simple burglary, and drug possession are not victimless crimes. They do compromise the safety of the community. And lastly, he understands that it will be a task to essentially reconcile his offshore work with active participation in drug treatment programs. And he understands that he constantly needs to work with his employer and drug treatment programs to work out a schedule that works for him. And that's all I have to say. I mean, he understands that his sobriety comes first. All his plans about buying land, being there for his nieces and nephews, the money he saved up, all of that is irrelevant if his sobriety is not taken care of. That's what he understands now. He has disappointments from his past, embarrassments from his past that he needs to work through. He's uncomfortable talking about them out loud at this hearing right now, but that's what a lot of the talk therapy will help him with, and he will actively participate in that talk therapy and learn how to ignore the instant gratification of a methamphetamine hit or a drink of alcohol. Instead, work with his pain and shame from his past in order to stay sober.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd request that we do an executive session.
I second. David said. Tony Marabolo,
Yes,
Brian Jackson. Yes. Yes.
we're going to be in executive session to discuss confidential matters. We'll resume this hearing in very shortly.
yes, sir. Thank you.
I wonder what they're discussing. I think they're like, what do you do here? It was such a, almost like a frustrating hearing. It's like you're trying to get information, but I don't know if he's has the ability to do it. It's
Are you in executive session now?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, they can hear us.
Bro, you gotta sit up straight. You back here talking over the belly out.
Well, bro.
No, I should really.
We're back on. Mr. Cavanaugh, I'm very glad that you've gone through the Steve Hall program. I think that you really need to think about how you're going to stay sober. I mean, I understand that you want to do all of these other things, but I think that staying sober is a lot harder than what you really think it is. You went from alcohol to drugs. You're in a wonderful situation right now. You've got a good job. You can get more sobriety under your belt. You'll be able to continue to do the things that you're doing now. You're going to get out in 2024. You're going to get out next year. And it sounds to me that if you were to be released, you basically going to go do the same thing you're doing now You're gonna be out on the boat the whole time. You say you're gonna go to a sober living facility, but you're not gonna be there very long. You're gonna be probably doing the same thing you're doing right now. So right now, you're in an excellent position. You're staying sober. You're learning how to stay sober where you are. In my vote, I believe that's the best place for you. And I think that when you get out on the 24th, you'll have enough time under your belt sober to be able to stay sober. So I hope that you continue to work that hard. That's my vote, and it's just one. Ms. Jackson?
Hi, Ms. Kavanaugh, my vote is likewise, you're in a pretty cushy situation. You're in a very controlled situation where it's a whole lot easier not to drink or do drugs. But you have an extensive criminal history, you have a high risk assessment, and quite frankly, with your history of driving while impaired, I think you pose a danger to public safety. So my vote is to deny.
Ms. Joshua, I believe that you believe that you're ready, and the day is going to come when you're going to have an opportunity to demonstrate that. So make sure you just hear not yet, not no, but not yet. My vote is the same. You do have law enforcement opposition, and one of your victims, I do want to state for the record, is unopposed, but they do want restitution. And even your victims say they'd like to see you doing treatment. So set aside some funds, to make restitution to your victim. My vote is no as well. But again, not what you hear is not yet. Best wishes to you.
You have 3 votes to deny your parole, Mr. Kavanaugh, but we encourage you to continue to work the way you work. Good luck to you.
Mhm.
We'll close out at West Feliciana. Thank you very much for your help there.
Thank you.
On the note of restitution, you almost wonder how come or if the judges had mandated restitution. You get sent out to work release and you get to make some good money, and meanwhile he stole other people's stuff. And imagine if the judge didn't order restitution. That would be a little bit flawed, to say the least. It was like a frustrating hearing, kind of like pulling teeth. Having his sister in the background chain smoking, and when she didn't have a cigarette in her mouth, she had her finger in her mouth. It was hard to watch. And I don't know if the board was paying attention or not, but I just couldn't have been doing him any favors. I'd agree. It looks like he's doing great where he is. He looks fit and healthy. He's making money. He's sober. It's like, I'm trying to think, why would he want to get out? I've never heard. I always thought that when you're out on these boat type work release, that you were forced to come back once a month and spend a night or 2 in jail every month. And maybe that's for some cases. Maybe it depends on the jail work release program. But here he says he's been gone. It's not even like a jail sentence. He's not in a jail. One thing I'm thinking is that maybe, because I heard that when you're in these work release, you've got quite a lot of expenses actually that you have to pay. So they charge the inmate a fee, and he has to pay quite a lot. A decent chunk of his paycheck goes to the program, the prison, the jail. And if that's the case, then I can see why he would, just from a financial perspective, want to be out, because it means that you're getting paid good money. And people on these boats, there was one that who actually said what he was making, and it was $98,000 a year is what he was making working out on a rig. I don't know what this gentleman's making, but it's good money. And maybe if he would like to get parole just so he doesn't have to pay a chunk of it to the system. Maybe that's his driving force. Otherwise, it's like, I mean, like the board said, I'm trying to understand I guess there's certain aspects of freedom that you simply don't have that you'll have if you get released outside of financial. You know, you want to go go to your parents for Thanksgiving meal, and you want to take a weekend off, and you can't do that. But anyways, I think it's just a blessing for him, and I think the board sees that too, that he can get another year of sobriety. He's getting at anyways. I don't think he's going to have the parole restrictions that the board could have given him, right? I think technically they still could put restrictions, but not necessarily. No, I don't think it's so. So I think he's just going to get out. In this case, they could have said, okay, you have a curfew, you have to attend this amount of AA meetings, and that's not going to happen. It was like pulling teeth, and then he said, okay, I have this letter, I wrote it down, and you're kind of expecting him to read out, but what he was reading had nothing to do with it. They just wanted to hear, do you understand your issues, and what are you going to do about it? They want to hear, there's this AA facility, I got the sponsor, I'm going to attend 3 a week, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And his home life situation just doesn't look like, he's going back to a place that's exactly going to guard his sobriety. And his poor wife was in the hospital, and he said that she's not all there. I mean, it seems like he'd be going back into an incredibly stressful situation. And 20 grand, sir, it'll go by real quick. He was saying something about a truck. I mean, 20 grand will last you a second. So, and yeah, I don't think he realizes, but this is the best thing for him. A year is going to go by quick, and if he can double his savings or more, then it's just going to be that much easier for him to succeed once he does get out. And also the board is scared about these DUI cases. They don't want to let anyone get out, and he goes out and kills someone. But, it's interesting. At the beginning, they were talking to him, and he said, well, the problem was at the beginning I was blaming everything on my father because I wanted to be a baseball player, and then he went off the wagon. And it still sounded like he was blaming everything on his father while he was saying that. It actually still seems like he's blaming everyone else but himself. You were a baseball player. You had God's gift to be a baseball player. So you should have just, again, hold yourself accountable for your actions. And I didn't hear that. I heard him blaming his father while describing his problem was that he was blaming it on his father. But that's just what I heard. But man, I don't know how it's like winning the lottery. Some people, they go to jail and they get stuck in some jail with no programs and they just rot away. Some people go to prison where they have limited programs or they just go through the motions. And then some people go to work release facilities. They get sentenced to that and they get to really not experience what it's like to be locked up. I mean, he's living on a boat, making money. It was like, and I think that's a great system, actually, as long as it's not taking away jobs from people who would otherwise want them, who aren't in trouble. But I don't believe it is. I believe these are really tough jobs, and there's a reason that a lot of people don't want to work these days, and there's a reason people that so many from these work release work there. And I think it's also they pay them much less, even though they still pay them a great wage. But to do 6 hours on and 6 hours off, that's such an interesting cycle too. It seems kind of random. You would think 12 on, 12 off, but maybe it's just so intense that it can't be more than 6 hours. But I couldn't imagine being 6 hours. You take a shower, you sleep, and then it seems it's just exhausting. A strange cycle. Also, when they said, is there alcohol on board? He said, absolutely not, sir. There is nothing. I mean, that was the wrong answer, whether it was true or not. He should have said, yes, there is, but I stay away from it. Because I would think that there is, right? Unless, if it's a dry ship, I guess that would be up to the captain running the ship. And I could assume he'd want a dry ship, although I could also assume that I would also think that if they get a day off, that the only thing that people are going to want to do is have a hard one. And that there are going to be some people there who don't have problems with sobriety there. But who knows? Maybe the captain keeps it a dry ship and he keeps a tight ship. But otherwise, he could be drinking and no one would know because they only drug test them. Anyone watching the stream that know how that works out there? Is it up to the captain? Is it a ship by ship basis? Is it possible to truly have a dry ship? Do they go through inmates' luggage when they come on board and check to make sure there's nothing in there? Does the captain ever celebrate at the end of the month with a good dinner and a couple drinks? How does that work out there? I'm so curious to work on a tugboat in Louisiana. It almost seems romantic. I know it's the last thing of it is probably the most backbreaking work you can do if you be on a tugboat out in the Louisiana River, but I'd love to hear about it. Maybe I'll Google it after this. I am curious. Anyways, with that, I will let you go.